Hi, welcome to Singdaptive Live. I'm Kevin Alexander, and I'm your host again today. And I might be a host again next month, maybe the month after that, or maybe not. Maybe it will be another one of our instructors. We will see. And today is a great day because we actually do have another instructor on as well, Kathy Alexander, who I'll introduce shortly, as well as a guest, Jade Hendrix. Just to let you know, Singdaptive Live, you can send questions in at any point, is totally fine, although we'll get some of the questions near the end and also some questions that have already been asked in advance. We have Singdaptive Live once a month. We have another one coming up on in August, which you can check out if you visit singdaptive.com/live. And before we get going, I also wanted to remind you about the contest that's currently running. And this is still going on. You can get to it at singdaptive.com/contest. And whether you have an account yet, which you probably do, or even if you don't, you can go there, sign up, and find out about the contest details. But it's still running till the end of August, and there's a lot of chances to win just by participating. But you can also sing a song, either a cover or an original, and get a chance to win some grand prizes. So maybe in today's kind of live chat that we're doing with Kathy and Jade, especially if you're thinking of doing an original or you're just trying to pick the right song for the contest, you might find that it's a good contest to enter, and this live session might help you out a bit or give you some ideas. So the topic today is about choosing songs and writing songs and kind of connecting that to, you know, your life story, if you will. And so in thinking about guests for this, you know, kind of you go through the Rolodex. Who would even know what a Rolodex is? I can't believe I actually said that. But you think about guests, and there was a lot to choose from. And but the combination of this two we were pretty excited about, and that is Jade Hendrix and Kathy Alexander. And before I bring them in, I'm going to say something a bit about both of them, and then we can bring them on and see to what degree they're blushing or not. But I'll let you know a bit about Kathy. So if you've been around Singdaptive, you may have seen Kathy as an instructor, and that's great. I've seen her for much longer. I've known Kathy since I was 13 years old, and yes, we are married, and yes, we were school sweethearts or whatever, high school sweethearts. But the amazing thing about Kathy is you might know her as an instructor, but she's probably one of the most diverse singing talents I know. She sings, plays piano, plays trumpet, plays guitar, bass, percussion, penny whistle. She'd say she's an amateur at all of those, but she's performed on every single one. And she's performed as a jazz singer in contemporary settings, musical theater, opera, choral. She's even done product demonstration of vocal products and looping products. She's written songs, conducted, directed kids to adults, written books for singers. And then on top of that is a co-founder at Singdaptive and is a vocal coach. But the coolest thing about Kathy is that even though I can say all that, this morning when she got up, all she was saying was she was super excited about being on this call with Jade Hendrix, our other guest. And Jade met Kathy in Singdaptive doing exchanges, kind of checking us out just as we were getting started. And that's where Jade and Kath met. And Jade is such a wonderful human being and person. And there's so many things I can say. The list of things I put in: one, she's based in California. She grew up around music, which is just always an exciting story to hear. And she's had the opportunity in her career to sing with some absolute legends, including Traffic frontman Dave Mason and the Judy Collins, who's spanned like 7 decades of vocal performance. And she's also been awarded for her artist chops as Artist of the Year from the Ventura County Music Awards. So let me bring them both on and say hello to both of you.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
I guess, hey, it's good morning to all of us. We're all on the West Coast, so.
Yes, it is morning. It is a sunny, lovely morning here.
Thanks so much for joining us both today. It is really cool, and sorry about the long introduction, but it felt like you both deserved a really good introduction. So
That's very kind. Thank you for your sweet words.
really, really, really good. And so like, hey, we might as well get right into it because that's what people have come to hear. And like, I just want to start off with just a simple question, which I'm going to put on the screen, but also edit because I misspelled it. But I will put it on the screen now. How, and you can just answer this honestly to me, because I don't think I have enough experience with this just as somebody who's performed a bit. How do you know if a song connects with you?
I feel like it's almost a physical reaction. If I hear a lyric that really resonates, I get goosebumps. Also, if it's like, how inclined am I to hit repeat when the song is over, to get that second listen. Yeah, it's such you can go through such an emotional journey with a song. If, the lyrics mean something to you, if it touches on something that you can relate to in your life as well. And I think that's the beauty of it.
Oh, that's really true for me as well. The physical reaction, the if you hear a song and it does something to you, like the goosebumps, or just it makes you feel something, whether it's like joy, like you want to get up and dance, or it brings a tear to your eye, or it just strikes a chord of something that seems and feels so true as you're hearing it. I also always like to go down to, like, if I'm going to sing a song, and if I'm trying to choose a song to sing, I always use the idea of, would I speak these lyrics, and can I think of a situation where I would be in, where I would actually say these lyrics, like I would just say them to someone. And if I can find that place, then I know I'm really also connecting with the song.
I just want to dive a bit deeper into it, because as somebody who, grew up playing trumpet, and singing wasn't the thing I started out doing, and listened to tons of orchestral music and jazz music. And sometimes I felt guilty about this, but I would listen to music and I felt like I was being moved, but I would admit I was almost envisioning myself in that performance situation. Like, not like, oh, I'm all famous. I mean, like, I'm playing that music. What would it feel like if I was playing, if I was a listener or whatever, or if I was playing it, I'm kind of like almost picturing as if I was listening to the music and enjoying it as the audience member. Is that connecting to music? Or I guess another way to think about this, if I go to the next question, is, have you ever sung a song that didn't connect with you, like where that didn't happen, or the connection you were happening wasn't really authentic, maybe?
Absolutely. I've played my share of weddings, and I guess that's part of the process. Say it was for a couple that chose a song that they wanted for their first dance, and it wasn't a song that I really connected to. Understanding the way that they did, and the fact that it meant something to them, almost helped me to really be present in that moment. And as long as it meant something to them, it could mean something to me.
So yeah, so it's almost interesting. Like, do you ever, are you ever purposely like finding that connection, or does it just come naturally, or you have to sometimes seek it out?
And sometimes it's a little work, but we do it because we love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really resonate with what you said, Jade, there about if the song connects to someone else, then that can become my own connection. So yeah, I having been asked to sing at weddings or things like that, where someone's chosen a song because it really means something to them. And so just by knowing that in and of itself, even if I don't connect really directly with the song, that is my connection. I know I'm singing something that really means a lot to someone else. Right. And then I can find my connection through that. It's like a channel.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, do you want me to answer the thing about singing a song I didn't connect with?
Yeah, for sure I do.
Because I was thinking, I studied voice like formally.
Kath's frozen. I'm sure she'll come back. She She doesn't freeze in real life. It's only in this virtual life. I can attest to. She doesn't very often just freeze in front of me. Oh, you got back, Kath. Maybe start that story again, but you're back.
Okay. I hope it wasn't frozen like weird. So I was going to say, you know, I studied voice formally, so I went through a lot of schooling. And so sometimes I was given songs to sing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes those songs were in German or Italian or, you know, French. And I didn't always realize how hard I had to work to find that connection in the song. So I do remember singing songs that I didn't really connect to. And, you know, when you're not really connecting to a song, all of a sudden, all these other things are more of a worry. Like, did I sing that one note right? And is that rhythm right? And what do people think of it? But if you're really connecting to a song, so all of those things kind of fade away into the background. So singing a song that I wasn't connected to was nerve-wracking and kind of like more stressful for me, because I felt like I didn't know where I stood and I didn't have any foundation to stand on as a singer.
Wow.
Interesting. It's interesting you talk about like not having a foundation. Like, so it's, you know, hey, I mean, I'm sure we could switch the topic of this stream and talk about other foundations when we sing or perform, you know, but you could certainly see how somebody could stand up and make their soapbox that connecting with the song is a foundation. Would that be a legit thing to do, to say that connecting with the song can be your foundation for performance?
I think so. I do think, you know, your connection with the song, and whatever that connection may be, it informs everything that you're going to do musically. It is the reason behind all of your musical and artistic choices. So yeah, I do agree that it really feels like a foundation. It, certainly in my experience, it does.
Yeah, it feels like that's the most authentic place to come from when it comes to performing.
So Jade, maybe we'll start with you. If we switch this into kind of the writing side, when you're writing a song, how do you make sure it connects with you? And maybe is that a conscious thing, or do you not know what happens until afterwards?
I just try to connect truth about myself to my writing. You know, I was the middle child wallflower in the family. And I had a hard time speaking up for myself. And so I think that's part of how I fell in love with music and with songwriting, because that was my opportunity to, I guess, let people know a little something about who I was without the self-conscious nature of my upbringing. So yeah, you know, whether it's writing about heartbreak or even the way I take my cup of coffee, you know, if I can be honest in my lyric, I feel like I have an easier time connecting with my audience, and they have an easier time connecting with me because they can sense the truth in it.
And how do you take your cup of coffee?
Half and half, a little too much sugar.
Well, that's a good way. So this would be my challenging. So now I'm thinking, okay, if I was going to songwrite more, which for me, my songwriting is helping other people songwrite, it would, I always worry that it would be the indecisiveness that would kill my songwriting. Like in my coffee, I mean, I can take it like 20 different ways. Maybe I usually take it black, but you know, so that indecisiveness would get in the way. But I guess part of connecting in songwriting is also at some point making a decision about what you're connecting with.
Yeah.
Kath, how about you? How would you answer that question?
I love what you said, Jade, just about like, it has to be honest. That's really lovely. Also hearing about how songwriting came to be in your life. I consider myself a voice teacher and a vocalist. I don't necessarily call myself a songwriter, but I've written songs along the way over the years. I've written a handful of songs, and I do really think for me, it's helped me to actually find the truth in a situation or in a moment, you know, whether it's a moment of sipping coffee or a moment that was like life-changing where my life suddenly changed, or whether it is a relationship that I have with another person. The process of writing the song has helped me to discover a deeper truth in that. It was sort of like my way of working through or processing something. So that is surely like, you know, a connection, because, you know, it's really it's affecting me. It's the songwriting process and expressing what I'm trying to express actually has an effect on me, you know. And that moment that I'm writing about, a little moment, a lighthearted moment, or a deep, life-changing, earth-shattering moment, that has affected me as well.
So maybe let's take a chance on really diving into this practically by letting Jade perform a song. But Jade, maybe also, before you perform it, or you can do it after if you want, maybe you can kind of share where the connection started with this song and maybe how it connects with you today. Maybe it's changed over time. So Jade, let's get you featured here. And let's let you share your song.
Great. This is probably my most honest song, in a way that I wasn't even really anticipating when I wrote it. I sat down with my co-writer, David Zimmer, and played this idea that I had, sort of a get to know me kind of song, where I started out with a verse about really sort of irreverent moments in my life, and sort of my worldview in the hook. And out of nowhere, I started to write the second verse. My father, who passed away in 2009, we lost him to suicide. He just poked through this lyric. And I hadn't really been willing to face it musically until that day. And he came clear so immediately that I think we wrote it. We finished that song in a couple of hours. And the first time I played it in the town he raised me, in the town he died in, I just fell apart. And even in that moment of vulnerability, the way the audience really leaned in, I felt like we all had a moment. So this song is very sacred to me, and I hope you enjoy it. It's called Purpose. My third grade teacher promised me I could win the spelling bee. I studied hard with my flashcards. I was ready. Oh, but when the moment came, the words they didn't. My mouth betrayed. I felt the shame of quitting. So I traveled far away from home, followed my feet like I was grown. Saw 7 seas, walked empty streets, wandering in Rome. The more I fell in love with space, I rediscovered my favorite place, my saving grace, my front door. Life's a fleeting, fragile thing. Some days you sail, some days you sink. When you find your wings, you learn to take the fall. But that's life, after all. After I turned 20, my father left me. With no goodbyes, no pretty lies, just an empty seat. And though it's very clear he's gone, I still miss him. But he's in my heart, never departs my memory. I hated living in the dark. Turn out the lights, I'd fall apart. feared the unknown, being alone with a broken heart. Oh, but in the light of day, I guess I knew it. The only way out of the gray is through it. Oh, life's a fleeting, fragile thing. Some days you sail, some days you sing. When you find your wings, you learn to take the fall. But that's life, after all. And if there is a thing I've learned, surely as the world will turn, to love is to give, to share is to live with purpose.
Oh, Jade.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. I had no idea what you were going to sing. Yeah, that, I'll just say that I was glad I was not on the screen. I had, you know, it's really interesting because the question I had here to ask next was, how does your audience know the song connects with you? And it's interesting because I found myself. So I'll just be honest. Today's a an interesting day for Kath and I, because at the end of the day, we go to a celebration of life for a dear high school friend who departed the earth far too soon, and seeing his kids and things like that. And so, man, I can say how this song connects with me, with what you shared before the song, but also even if you just shared the song itself. It connects because you have threads in there about life, like even ending with love is a gift. You took us on a progression through your childhood. I know that song connects with me because, it made me cry. It made me think about this dear friend. And I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if the same was for Kath during that song. And, so maybe I'm answering my own question, but hey, I need you to answer because I need to stop talking. I think I'm still affected by this song. So how does your audience know the songs connects with you? Even if you hadn't spoken before.
Right. Yeah. I think it's almost unconscious. I think we lean in when it means something to us. And there's just something sort of inherent that even a room of strangers can sense that, and they lean in too. And especially when you're sort of talking about universal truths. We've all experienced loss in one way or another. That's just living. So I think if you can allow yourself to be vulnerable, you'll so often be received with open arms through the performance.
Well, I sure appreciate that vulnerability, because that was absolutely so beautiful. And yes, it was incredibly moving. And I just appreciate not only your artistry, but exactly that, your vulnerability. So thank you so much for that beautiful gift.
Thank you so much, Abby. Thank you both.
I had another thought about a lyric in that song right at the beginning, the third grade spelling bee. And I was thinking about this as somebody who, like I say, is not, I'm not a lyricist. I don't have experience with that, although I've listened to a lot of songs and watched a lot of people write songs. So it's interesting because you share something personal right in that first line, the third grade spelling bee. So you share this fact about you, let's say. But to me, what really makes it come alive is you share kind of an emotion or experience that comes with that. And I can't remember the exact line next, but the idea that the words didn't come to you when they needed to. So in a way, is that, how important is that in songwriting, to move behind just saying what happened versus kind of giving yourself a moment that actually generates a feeling? Because that seems to be what you did in that song.
Thank you. That's a great question. And the thing is, I don't even know if it's, again, we're sort of talking about the conscious and the unconscious experience, especially relating to songwriting. I don't even know if that was my intention. I just remembered, it was just a sort of errant memory that I think I had that day, being in the 3rd grade and sort of priding myself on having my spelling lists, get 100% every week, thinking that I knew something about spelling, and then in the moment when I could sort of show everyone else that, it all fell apart, and how that resonates. There's a million versions of that I think we've all experienced in one way or another. So taking something that's really sort of light and kind of funny, and tying it to that feeling of disappointment. I love that sort of journey in that lyric.
Oh, that's so great. I love how something so specific can be so universal, and it's that it's so concrete and so specific that allows it to be experienced so universally. So even if no one's ever been in a spelling bee, that feeling of disappointment, of everything just falling apart, that's universal, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
It's interesting. You're in a way, we don't even need to ask this next question because you're giving the advice right now. I think but maybe you can both try to think of some other moments, like, yeah, how do you, like, I wrote the question as advice for choosing to write your own song so they connect with your audience, but what are those moments you look for? Like you say, it's unconscious, but at some point you make that choice to choose that moment. I just think some of us, and maybe it's not being a songwriter, are going through life and we don't think that way. So how do you spot those moments, or is there anything you can do to help bring those out?
Well, sometimes you have moments that replay themselves in your mind, and it's almost subconscious. Like Jade said, it's who knows why, for some reason, and those are often the moments, because they're kind of replaying themselves to you, and it's like they're calling to you to maybe write your song lyric around that, and to expose or enlighten what that moment really means.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes songwriting feels like a confessional. And when you get a chance to put your music before an audience, that's the therapy. And so I guess I would encourage folks to write from a place of connection and vulnerability, because the catharsis that you'll feel when you get the opportunity to share is worth it every time.
Wow. Yeah. It does. Hearing you talk about the song before, knowing Kathy's going to share a song as well, you can see that, the therapy that it gives, but also the therapy it gives the person writing the song. And it would seem to me, listening to your song, Jade, and also knowing a bit about the song that Kat's going to share, transitions seem to be a great well to go to. Like, in a way, in your song, you're progressing through ages, and you're hitting some, obviously really significant transitions in your life of, dealing with loss, but then also the dealing with it after, as the grief becomes, maybe a faucet that's not dripping as loudly, or as a friend of mine would say. Transition can be a great place to look to in your life, whether it's, relationships, family, where you live, jobs, or whatever. These transitions seem to be great moments to kind of think about as far as what we've experienced, because there's a lot of emotion in those transitions,
and a lot of vulnerability. We're most vulnerable in those transitions.
Yeah.
Well, maybe on that note, Kath, maybe because it's an unfair segue because I know what you're going to sing, or I think I know what you're going to sing. But maybe we'll let you take the stage and share. And like I say, you can just share the song, say something about it before, after, whatever you'd like. But we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. All right, I'm gonna just make sure my shot is correct because my phone was moving a little bit. Actually, yeah, okay. There we go. Yeah, so this is a song I wrote probably about 8 or so years ago. And we were about to face actually a very big transition in our life. We had been living in Denmark, Kevin and I, and our kids for not quite 4 years. And then we're about to move back to Canada. And I had started writing the song actually long before we actually decided to move back to Canada. So it wasn't so much about the transition, but it was really about the impact of the friendships that we had made during our years living in Denmark. And it just, I was trying to like explore for myself, like why these friendships were so powerful. And I think because we happened to stumble into some really wonderful people. And I just think I'd never realized how important friendships are, because when you move, you leave your home and you're living in a foreign land, surrounded by a foreign language, you know, I experienced that lack of connection like I'd never had before, that lack of emotional connection, social connection, cultural connection. And then as we forged these friendships and as we were so incredibly blessed to make these really special lifelong friends, I just was just looking for a way to like put words to it. And then when we were leaving, we had a little bit of a party, like a little going away party. And I said, oh, I'm going to sing you guys a song. And some of my friends said, oh no, you're going to make us cry again, aren't you? Because we had been down at the beach having a picnic one time, and I had sung a song and made everybody cry. It was actually Fields of Gold. And the song actually has reference to that picnic. We had just a fabulous time, and we rode our bikes down to the beach, and it was just a wonderful night of friendship and laughter and alcohol and music. But I said to my friends, they said, oh no, you're gonna make us cry. And I said, no, don't. It's a happy song. It's actually a happy song. So this is the song I wrote and sang for my friends at that going away party. You called to me through the cold and the dark and the wind. Your words were a mystery that I couldn't sing. I heard you say, leave everything. I thought I should, but now I know that I misunderstood. Wanting a change, we pedaled our bikes. The wind and a song on our skin fell right. The sun in your tears and the sand on our feet. We sat at the table where two countries meet. We held on to our children and we tried to be strong in a world without endings. You helped us belong. I heard you say, be who you are. Now that you're here, you brought what was missing. Now you're on the ride, wanting the wind and a song on our skin fell right. The sun in your tears and the sand on our feet. We sat at the table where two countries meet. Whispers of moments that we lived in light. Spun expectations were hard to fight. Now we can sing our duet, never forget. Fires and trampolines, kids in the apple tree. We won the victory down at the beach. Home was gone. Home was here. Wanting change, we pedaled our bikes. The wind and a song on our skin felt right. The sun in your tears and the sand on our feet. We sat at the table where two countries meet. We sat at the table where two countries meet. Yes, we sat at the table where two countries meet.
Oh, yeah.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for that. Yeah, well, I've heard that one once or twice. But it's interesting because as a song, like I was thinking about it maybe differently because we're doing this live chat. There's so many very small amount, very short sections of words, just a few words which describe like individual moments, like and you know, whether it's like in the apple tree or a moment at the beach or things like that. So there's a lot of opportunity in that song to make a connection. So for me, it's hard because I know a lot of those experiences. So my mind goes there. So that's the obvious connection. But I guess also when you put a lot of experiences in a song, there's also a great chance for connection and relating it to your own life as well.
Yeah, I guess I hope that, you know, although I'm writing about these very specific moments for me, and that again, like that there's some level of universality that someone listening can pick up on that sentiment and relate to it in their life. Yeah, even through those specific moments that are only I maybe know what they actually mean, you know?
Mm. And what a great line. We sat at a table where two countries meet. Like it's just, I get chills. There's that connection.
There we go.
Cool. But, you know, yeah, in those really beautiful, rich, specific lyrics, you sent me to Vegas thinking about the friends that I went to school with and left. And yeah, that's the beauty of it. Right there, you can write a song so exquisitely about your own life, and just open up a portal for the rest of us.
Oh wow, that was beautifully said. Amen to that. Yeah.
Amen to that. Yeah. Well, we, you know, before all these Singdaptive live sessions, we let our kind of subscribers send in questions. We always say we'll get to your questions first, although we'll get to anybody else a question in the chat, we'll do it as well. And but we definitely had a few. And there was this one, I would admit, this really got me because I don't know, this question is really, really interesting. So this is from one of our users. I don't like singing songs that are too personal. Is that okay, or should I try? Which I just think if we think of the last, you know, 35 minutes or so, or 40 minutes, we've been fairly personal about what we've been talking about. And here's somebody going, I'm not sure if I like doing that. What would you say to them?
I would say that it's, you know, it's up to you. There's no right or wrong way to approach songwriting. I say sing what's in your heart to sing. And you get to determine that. Just the act of sharing in itself is personal. You don't have to lay it all. You don't have to wear it all on your sleeve if that's not what you're feeling. Oh
wow, what a great message! I love that. Just sharing anything is personal, isn't it? I think that's great encouragement for this person who asked the question. And maybe I would say, like Jade said, you don't have to kind of lay it all out on the line. You can write about something or sing about something that's maybe personal, but not necessarily makes you feel incredibly vulnerable. So, you know, going back to how you like your coffee, that's personal, it's true, but it doesn't necessarily make you feel so vulnerable per se, in the same way that talking about something more emotional might happen. I've been in situations where I've had to sing a song in a situation that was very emotional, where I knew I would probably just fall apart and just completely lose it emotionally, and just it's hard to think of that. We don't like feeling quite that vulnerable, like to the point where the song is falling apart. So we want to find that path where we can really present the song the way we want and not feel sabotaged by our emotion. You know, and so like Jade said, there's no right or wrong way. The other thing is that the connection can be just purely musical. Maybe you're singing a song where the lyrics aren't actually really the main thing, but your connection is to the music. Something about the music is just so unique. It just touches you, and your connection is just through loving that music and bringing that music. And that's personal, right? Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm just reiterating what Jade said. There's different ways to do it.
Well, that's good. I think I learned something from both those answers, and I think that I think I like the way you started, Jade. It's okay, you know, like you don't have to overthink this, and it's okay to just sing a song that you chose or whatever. You don't need to overthink it. And I guess that's the other one too, is that, you know, as a listener, as songs I love, they change. My love for them changes over time, or what they mean to me changes over time. And so, you know, I guess to some degree, you can't overthink it. You have to just experience it and let it go and see what happens. So that one could also apply to, you know, choosing songs or whatever. This next question is probably more about writing a song, although I guess you could apply it to choosing as well. How do you know when a song is done? Do you ever make changes to a song after it's finished? Hey, whoever wants to go first with this one.
I don't know that a song is ever truly done. Like, again, we change, and so do our songs, so do our lyrics. I sang a song for 4 or 5 years and had a light bulb moment on a lyric, and it was like, oh, it should have been that the whole time. And I was like, oh, well, I haven't recorded it yet, so what difference does it make? I can, you know, until it's on tape, you know, you can edit.
Yeah, maybe that's a problem now, is the ability to change it so many times. You know, if you were talking to Johnny Cash or something like that, the original recording, there was no chance to change it. But, but maybe he changed it in performance, maybe.
Yeah, I would agree. I love that you said that. You know, a song is maybe never completely finished, and our songs can evolve and change as we do. I think when it's ready to kind of share in front of someone, or share with a person or a group, I think you kind of have to have settled on at least a version of the song for a little while, so that even though it may still evolve, the current version of the song, you're able to sing it, perform it pretty consistently for a while. So when I'm working with my students who are songwriters, sometimes the song is still really evolving, and the melody and the lyrics are different every time they sing it. And so I encourage them by saying, you know, let the song settle so that it's in the same place where you're singing it the same way for a while, and then you'll be ready to share it. Because I think, especially if you're inexperienced at performing, we need to have a little bit of a foundation, as a framework to kind of rest on. If we get out there to share a song that's still evolving, it might be more challenging to present it the way we want.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
I remember reading an article. Joni Mitchell was being interviewed, and she said that she couldn't believe she'd written Both Sides Now when she was in her 20s, because she didn't really know anything of the lyric content. She hadn't lived her life yet. So it's sort of the idea that even if the song doesn't change, she did. And by virtue of her singing it in her 60s and her 70s, when she had a chance to really live the song that she wrote, it became, the message in itself made it completely different, made it new.
Yeah, that is, Jade, you talking about that, like it's that connection to the song, even if your song's not changing, just your interpretation of it changes as your connection changes. And it actually makes me think about you, Kath, in musical theater, playing a lead in Mamma Mia. You get the audition, you have to sing a song, you don't know the character very well yet. So you're relying, I remember you said you thought a lot about your relationship with our daughter, right? That's what you thought about the motivation of the song. By the time you're singing the lead part on stage in performance, you've connected with that full character. You're probably connecting with that character because now that you know them, words didn't change, music didn't change, so that connection is what changed.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Kev. And I think most actors have a journey of really finding the character. And so you're finding your way in. So you're putting on the skin in a way of that character. I think acting is often described as authentic emotion in a fictional situation. And so the emotion still needs to be authentic, even if you're playing a character. And I would say that as an answer to the person who said they didn't like singing songs that were too personal. One way to sing a song is to actually sing it as another character. For example, if I was going to sing a song from the perspective of a man or a child, something that I'm not, I can put myself into character, and that can still be authentic emotion that's I'm channeling through. But yes, I definitely had lots of things about the character Donna in Mamma Mia that I didn't relate to, that I hadn't gone through in my life. And I had to find ways to relate to the abandonment and the betrayal that she experienced. But of course, in terms of the song about the daughter, I absolutely had no trouble relating to the song Slipping Through My Fingers, which is all about the mother-daughter relationship, of course. I thought all about our lovely daughter when I was working on that song.
We in the chat, Tamara said something really interesting, which said, "I've modified many of my songs based on feedback from the audience." Hey, I know some artists who feedback from the audience would get them pretty defensive. But have you either had experience with that? Maybe either on the nature of your performance or the song you've maybe written yourself. Either one.
I started writing a musical, and as I started to, it's taking it sort of one song at a time, and I've played those out before, and so hearing feedback on how those resonate with my audience, with friends who are in the room and have a perspective, is super helpful, because it's at this point, we're writing drafts, and sometimes it's really helpful to get some productive criticism and lead you to your next best draft.
Yeah, I've had that as well. A friend of mine reharmonized my song, or one of the lines of the song I just played. He was like, "Oh, it could be this chord," and I was like, "Oh, like that was cool." I didn't incorporate that change because I couldn't figure out how to like change other things to make the rest of the chorus like match, but it was like a great idea that I could have built on. And then I've also had people give me their reaction to my lyrics, like which lyrics they connected to and which lyrics they didn't really get. And yeah, I guess I do feel defensive, but or maybe I feel a little bit, insecure, but ultimately it always leads to learning and better artistry. Sometimes it leads in the opposite direction. So someone might make a comment that I actually really don't agree with, and I actually increase my conviction about going in the other direction. So that comment was still a catalyst that was really important.
Yeah.
I guess that the feat, like you say, whether you make the change or not, if you have that belief that your connection to the song affects how you perform it, it's not whether or not you change the lyrics or change even the chords or anything. if somebody says something, gives you feedback of a song, of how it connects to you in a way that you didn't expect, that's likely going to affect what's going on in your mind when you're performing or anything. So it's like you can't disconnect yourself from what feedback you get, even if you don't change something material that you can actually document.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. I remember seeing James Taylor in concert when we were living in Denmark, and Kath's dad was a James Taylor fan, and so listened to him a lot. Was so excited to see him, and heard a lot of songs that I've heard him play before. But he's somebody who speaks a lot before he performs those songs. And it was like every single song I was hearing for the first time, because he completely changed my perspective. I mean, I already like these songs, but then, now my perspective's changed because he shared a story. Didn't change the song, but that story affected, what the performance was. It's it's like that, those not award shows, but like auditioning shows like American Idol and America's Got Talent, they share these stories before they get on the stage. And of course that affects how you relate to that singer. Like how you would have interpreted or felt about that song was different if you hadn't heard that story before.
It's kind of a magic trick.
It's a bit of a magic trick, maybe an exploitative magic trick at times, but it is a magic trick nonetheless. So we have some time. We have one more question. And I think it is interesting because it's kind of kind of reflective of the first question that was asked. And I would admit I interpreted this one a bit based on what somebody sent in. But I've written some songs, but I don't think anybody would be interested in hearing them. It's not that they're bad. It's just that they're so specific and so personal. I don't know what that question is, but like that, I mean, I can relate to it that like, it's funny. Like I've helped out maybe write some songs even with Kath before that were for a specific family member for something, like it's just, you want to do a gift for them. And so you kind of go, that song's only for them. And then you give it to that person. They're like, oh, I want to share this with everyone. You're like, no, you don't. So like, it can't, like, what do you do if it's just too personal or too specific what you're writing about? Or is it a problem?
I think you get into trouble when you presume to know how someone's going to react to your art. If that's the place you're coming from, it feels hard to play at all. And I think there's so much beauty in the specific and in the personal. Like thinking about Kathy's song, it's so true to you and your experience. And it's through that the universal nature of your message shines through. So yeah, I think if you can write for yourself first, and not worry about how folks are gonna perceive it, how they're gonna take it, you're already off to such a good start.
Wow.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah, that I'm just writing something you just said. Write for yourself first. I think hey, we have to wrap things up anyways, and you've answered all my questions. But I think you found a way of putting a punctuation mark right on the end of this. Write for yourself first. Maybe that's a great way of summarizing, or even, summarizing whether you're choosing songs to sing or whether you're writing. Think about yourself first.
Yeah.
I think that's, a good message, and maybe one of those moments where being a bit selfish actually is exactly what the doctor ordered. Well, Jade and Kathy, I so want to thank you. I mean, this feels like a bit of a roller coaster for me. I mean, Jade, you really affected me with that song and your story. So I feel like I got really wrapped up in that. It's nice when you get to be a host, but also just get to feel like you're a listener. And Kathy, I never get tired of hearing your song as well. And it brings back all sorts of great memories about that part of our life. But I also really, really appreciated hearing your thoughts on this. I think it was a good therapy for me, and also you know, just as somebody who likes songwriting and maybe dabbled in it a bit, which I think so many of our users on Singdaptive are like that. So many of them, even if they haven't written before, are interested in writing, or they're interested in choosing a song that's maybe different than what they've been doing. And I think this bit that I've learned in it, I think can be very helpful for them. So the fact that this will live on forever, well, as long as YouTube stays alive, it will live on forever, and anybody can come and watch it. I'm really glad that they'll be able to come and watch this, and I'm sure they'll really enjoy it. So anyways, I want to thank you one last time, and look forward to having you on again. And thank you so much.
Thank you both. It's been a real pleasure being with you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
thanks. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Jade.
And thank you.